how did you get your mind right? How did you get back on track? Because I imagine there's a big realization process of actually needing to admit to yourself, you know, I have a problem. And I imagine for most, that's the toughest step to take.
Oh yeah, definitely for sure. I mean, initially the drugs, I took myself away from Exeter for a while. I went to a kind of treatment centre where you stay there, and they kind of you've got to be clean and sober when you're there. So I took myself there initially to get off the drugs because I thought that was the only problem. This isn't the same for everybody because a lot of people struggle really, really hard with staying clean of drugs. I mean, I think I went to this treatment center with the mindset of I'm going to stop this now, and I stopped taking drugs by segregating myself away from the people, and I think you can kind of section yourself away from drugs and drug dealers and other people that are using drugs, so you can kind of make that break away from it. With alcohol, it's a lot more difficult because alcohol is seen as socially acceptable.
Well, it's everywhere. So, it's everywhere. I mean, when we were driving back from the gym earlier, it's a few miles drive. How many pubs did we drive past?
Yeah, sure. But not only that, it's like, even if you try and stay away from pubs, even if you go to a supermarket and go shopping, you could say to yourself, I'm not going to go down the drinks aisle, but they're promoting that stuff on the ends of other aisles. So it's like you can't even, you can't avoid it anywhere you go. It's everywhere. And it took me a long time to realize that alcohol was also a problem, because when I was drinking and using drugs, most of my family kind of didn't want nothing to do with me. I wasn't trusted to be in my sister's house. My parents had enough. They, pushed me away. Don't blame them at all. I was not a nice person, and they, nobody trusted me to be around them or their children, which was fine. But when I came out of the treatment center, even to my own family, none of them kind of really looked at my drinking and thought that's an issue. I was always the one at family parties that always got a little bit too drunk and sometimes made a show of myself, things like that. Because I wasn't using drugs, I was kind of like accepted back in again. So family kind of accepted me back into their lives, not fully as they have now, because I was still drinking, but they opened the doors again to me. So to everybody else, if you go to your doctor and say you're just drinking, they're fine with it. If you say to someone, I don't take drugs anymore, they'd go, well done. You're not supposed to. That's normal. You say to people, I don't drink, they think it's weird.
Yeah.
Because it's such a socially acceptable thing for people to do these days.
Yeah, you're completely right. I mean, the amount of times I tell people I don't drink, and I don't drink because I've had a problem with it. I just don't drink because I'm real bad with it, man. I get proper bad hangovers, and I'm not really tough with like feeling ill and stuff like that. So I don't drink because I don't really fancy it. And even I now have friends going like, "What do you mean? What do you mean you don't drink?" And then I imagine if you're an alcoholic or recovering alcoholic or whatever, having that kind of pressure from friends and close people, like, "What do you mean you don't drink?" Well, it's not helpful at all.
One of the weirdest things though is when you first go on that journey of stopping drinking, in your mind, I think that I initially think that anywhere I go, if I stand in a bar with a Coke, everyone's going to ask me why I'm not drinking. And I'm going to wonder why they're asking me that question. When the truth of the matter is, no one actually gives a fuck. People walk past you with a soft drink in your hand and they don't ask you why you're not drinking. Because I'm not that important.
Yeah.
People don't actually care that I'm not drinking.